business climate?
Well, I first point out that 16 years of being friendly hasn't worked. My approach is like any other business. It's not enough to say how are we just going to help local business. This county needs to be turned upside down. We need to get back to fiscal responsibility. And by that I mean we need to put money in the bank so we can give tax breaks and other incentives for employers to come in here from outside the county and outside the state. And we're not doing that. And the reason is we don't have the money. We don't have any more land to give away. We don't have the resources that we used to have. If we get to a point where we can put money in the bank, that is the answer. How do we start? First of all, we close the Solid Waste Authority. We will save hundreds of thousands of dollars. We've run up over $2 million in debt. Did you know that? I know that. Also, we need to eliminate redundancies between the city and the county. We need to be able to collect somewhere between $200,000 and $300,000 that's owed to us by the Department of Fish and Game. In short, in order to get to the point where we can help local businesses here, in addition to doing the natural things of trying to partner with other counties and things of that nature, and enlarging the Economic Development Council, we need to also make certain that we're doing everything as a county with resources in the bank to offer tax breaks and other incentives to get employers to come in here from outside the county and bring jobs in here, because we need jobs.
Thank you, Bill. On this one, Bill, you go first. What would you do to regain local control of our resources?
First, the question is ambiguous because it does not state what a resource is. We have lots of resources here. We have land, we have fish and game, and we have money, and we have people. That's the most important resource. How do we keep all of those? First of all, with regards to land, we need a moratorium if we don't already have it on giving land away. Martha right now is asking us to give 4-to-1 land change as far as the airport's concerned. And she knows the county doesn't have that kind of land to give away. Secondly, in terms of money, as I described earlier, we need to put money in the bank here in the county and stop patronizing that issue. We're not going to move forward at all unless somebody recognizes that the county cannot survive in a welfare state. Thirdly, people. We need to keep people here. We've got doctors that are leaving here. We've got professional people that are leaving here. We've got all kinds of people moving out of this county because there's too many drugs here. There's too much blight here. And you know what, for our children and our grandchildren, there's no jobs here. We need to create an atmosphere where we can engender in the family unit, to get people to stay here and raise their kids where they can have jobs. And we need to hear out of government that we're moving forward, not that we're just working, because just working doesn't cut it. Results cut it, and that's what we need to be headed towards. That's why I'm in favor of doing everything we can immediately to turn this county around financially, because that is the genesis. That's the seed of the tree. That's what will start the engine running again. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Martha, what would you do to regain control of our resources?
When I reviewed this question, I was fairly certain, knowing the hot issues of our community, that we're talking about national park, we're talking about the 75% federal and state ownership of land. And there are things that we can do. One is that we need to actively make sure that our Forest Service is continuing to allow for harvest plans, which they have increased over the last 2 years, but we need to kind of keep putting that pressure on. We want to see some harvest plans coming out of the national forest. We also, I think, have a little jewel that we don't realize is a piece that I think that we could actually get a hold of. and that's this district, the 41st Agricultural District. Currently, state law, all the land that's owned by a district is state lands, and when a district needs to maybe sell a piece of property or reorganize a piece of property or put a 100-year lease on the piece of property, they're hamstrung. And we are sitting in a position where we have Senator LaMotha, who sits on the ag, he's on that committee. We need to be asking him a spot bill that will allow us to take ownership of our own 41st Agricultural District. And then the next step, after we get our own ownership and own control, we need to tell Caltrans and Cal Fire to take a hike off that 41st agricultural land that they pay $1 a year for. I also would like to say that there are other issues, and one of the things that I sat on the RAC, and the RAC worked together with the community, that's the Resource Advisory Commission, and we had money that we did to improve the backcountry roads, county roads. We created jobs with mapping, and we improved access to the river, and we added all those new bathrooms that you see on the river. That's the kind of work that we're getting done.
Thank you, Martha, and thank you to all the candidates for keeping their questions within that 2 minutes. Probably a little intimidated by John over here. But
He smiles.
question number 3, and this one will go to you, Martha, first. We're going into very difficult budgetary times. What would you prioritize, and what would you cut?
Okay, this is going to be a really quick econ lesson in relationship to California county government. Currently, our budget of the county is a little over $100 million. 22 million of those dollars go to our general fund dollars, which are our discretionary dollars. The other dollars are already dollars that are tracked. And when we take a look at the $22 million that we have to get our hands around, we look that we are spending about 6.5 million of those dollars are for public safety, which includes the operation of the jail. The district attorney is about $1.2 million. The public defenders are about 700,000, and probation is about 1.7, and juvenile hall runs at about $3 million. So you can see our discretionary dollars shrink. And then we have our discretionary dollars that are also hooked to required services, such as we have to have an engineer, we have to have a planning department. So all of that comes out, and in the end, it leaves us with about $250,000 for recreation, about $100,000 for blight control, and the employment of one guy to take care of animal control. We're strapped, I recognize that. Right now, for every dollar of property tax we get, 19 cents comes back. So I'm going to take the giant step and tell you what I think that you should do, is I think that everybody in this room should vote their own personal interest, and that personal interest is to support the Jerry Brown Initiative for the taxes, to tax people who make more than $250,000 a year for 7 years. I know. I'm just letting you know I'm not going to pander to you. I'm not going to lie to you about what I think needs to happen. And that will allow us to take the school money and push it off, and then be able to bring in the money to be able to continue to pay the sheriff's office.
Thank you, Martha.